What is up, everybody? It is Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, here with another video, and today I'm bringing to you a new kind of video that I'm going to start doing, a new series, I guess you could call it, and it's going to be called, this one's going to be called Marincess Master Class. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick decks that I really enjoy playing, decks that I play a lot, and I am going to do basically tutorials on how to play those decks properly, how to do a lot of the things that I think are important with the deck, certain sequencing and things like that. It's going to be a pretty in-depth guide where I'm basically going through test hands, combos, and things like that to explain things a little more deeply. I'll start the video off with a deck profile where I'll kind of just do a brief overview of things, and then I'll get into, you know, the nitty-gritty from there. But let's go ahead and dive on in to the first episode of Marincess Masterclass. All right, so we're going to start with the main deck here, and starting off with our Marincess cards, we're playing 3 Blue Tang. This card is like a Foolish Burial for the deck, and then when you use it as link material, it ends up being like a Pot of Duality. So yeah, that's really good. We have 3 Spring Girl. It's an extender. And additionally, when she uses a link material, you can basically mill cards up to the number of Marincess monsters you control and inflict 200 to your opponent for each Marincess card that you mill using her effect. Then we have 3 copies of Seahorse. Seahorse is also another extender. You can special from hand to a zone that a link monster points to. And then during the main phase, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard and special summon a water monster from your hand to a zone that a Marincess link monster points to. Yeah, so those are the 3 ofs. 2 ofs, we play 2 Pascalis. Pascalis basically says if it's normal or special summoned that you can special a Marincess from your hand, and then during the main phase, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard and then add a Marincess spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. So that's pretty sweet. And then 1 Sleepy Maiden. Sleepy Maiden basically says that you can target a Marincess card you control and special it from your hand, and then it gains an effect which really isn't the most important thing in the world, so I won't go over it. You can pause if you want to read it. But additionally, you can banish it from your graveyard to target a Marincess link monster you control and equip it with a link monster that is also a Marincess from your graveyard. So yeah, those are all the Marincess monsters. Moving on to the spells that are important, like your utility spells pretty much. 3 copies of Signet Mining. I feel like most people know what this does. Basically, you discard a card or you send a card from your hand to the graveyard and you add a level 4 lower Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand. And we have 2 copies of Dive and 1 copy of Battle Ocean. So Dive is going to be an extender, which is fantastic. It's going to help you push forward a little bit more, maybe help your combos out or help you push for game. So yeah, just think of it as a Monster Reborn, or if you have the field spell up, you can special summon from deck instead of graveyard. The only condition is that you can't special summon a Link Marincess monster with it. It has to be just a non-Link Marincess monster. As for Battle Ocean, all Marincess monsters you control gain 200 attack, which is not a lot, but it's something, believe it or not. Also, each one gains 600 attack for each Marincess card equipped to it, which is something that we will get to in just a second. So, additionally, on top of that, monsters you control in the extra monster zone that were link summoned using Marincess Crystal Heart as material are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Now, I don't play Crystal Heart in my list, so that doesn't really matter. I know people who do, I just don't. I don't think it's worth the extra deck space. Anyways, moving on to the next part of the effect. So when you link summon a Marincess monster to the extra monster zone, except during the damage step, you can equip up to 3 Marincess link monsters with different names from your graveyard to that link summon monster. So basically it's going to gain 2000 attack from the start when you go ahead and you link summon it in the extra monster zone, because the 3 equips are going to give it 1800, and then you're going to get another 200 from the initial. So it's basically like a 2000 point boost to whatever you're link summoning in your extra monster zone. Then the other cards that I play that are kind of utility cards would be 2 Potted Desire, because drawing cards is ironically pretty good in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then lastly, 1 Call By to kind of like stop you from getting hit by certain hand traps, I guess. It's honestly, like, hand traps are pretty relevant, but this is probably my least favorite hand trap, or my least favorite counter to hand traps right now. And then for the other cards that we play, going first, 3 copies of Gozen Match. Everything that we're playing is water, so that's why we're playing Gozen. We also play Stealth Kraken in the extra deck, which is a lock on your opponent. And then 1 Marincess Wave. I don't think you need more than 1 of this. Yeah, you can recycle it, so that's pretty easy. And then the going second cards, now the hand trap lineup and the going second lineup as a whole, I'm playing similar ratios to one of the top 16 lists from Vegas. I think this is like where the differences come in people's decks, because what essentially happens is that you play like 25 card core in, you know, all the cards that I've shown you so far, and then you just basically have 15 cards that you can play around with. And for me, I always use 15 for the most part. It's very rare that I go more than that, but 15 is something that you see with a lot of people. A lot of people talk about it as being like the perfect ratio. So anyways, we play 3 Ash. I'm just gonna lay the hand trap portion out. 3 Ash, 3 Valor, and 3 Imperm. Yeah, I think that this is really solid overall. I really think that, you know, Valor is a little better than like playing Nib in the main deck right now. Yeah, I think that this is proper for hand traps. I think that Imperm is probably the best hand trap in the format currently. Even though Ash is very good, because, you know, you hit Branded Fusion and anything else that you want to hit, and it still does put in work. But yeah, I think Imperm is just great because it makes it so your opponent isn't going to hit you with the talents, because you're not activating monster effect, you're activating a trap. So yeah, really sweet there. Then the other going second cards, 3 Eclipse and 3 Talent. You can mix and match whatever you want. I think that the hand traps are pretty solidified in my opinion, but as far as these go, just change whatever you want to change. I think that these are great cards overall though. Booking your opponent's field is awesome, and stealing your opponent's cards is also awesome. Or drawing cards, or shuffling a card back, whatever you need to do with talents. Yeah, but that is the main deck. I'm just not even gonna do like a cut. I'm just gonna go right into the extra deck here. Normally I do like video cuts, but I'm not gonna bother. So we have 2 copies of Blue Slug. Basically, what happens with Blue Slug is that when it's Link Summon, you target a Marincess monster in grave and you add it to your hand. Then you can't special summon a monster for the rest of the turn except water monsters. So yeah, you get locked in the waters very quickly. Then we have 2 copies of Marincess Sea Angel. This card, when it's Link Summoned, you can add a Marincess spell from your deck to your hand, specifically a spell. So you either add Battle, Ocean, or Dive, one or the other. Yeah. Then 2 copies of Coral Anemone. Basically, you target a water monster with 1500 or less attack in your graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to, and you can't special summon water monsters, and you can't special summon anything other than water monsters for the rest of the turn. And if it's sent from field to graveyard, you can target a Marincess card, not just monster, a card in your graveyard, except Coral Anemone, and add it to your hand. So yeah, it's really good. Coral Anemone is like one of my favorite water cards as a whole. It's so amazing. Then we have 1 copy of Marbled Rock. So you can target a Marincess card in your graveyard except Marbled Rock and add it to your hand. Keep in mind, once again, it says Marincess card, not monster. Marincess card. And then you can use this, you can only use that effect of Marbled Rock once per turn. And then when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send one Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard. And for that battle, monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage. So that's actually pretty sweet. Then we play 1 copy of Coral Triangle. So Coral Triangle says that you can send a water monster from your hand to the graveyard and add a Marincess trap from your deck to your hand. That's how you add wave. Pretty important to note. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon water link monsters from your graveyard whose combined link ratings equal exactly 3. So it's kind of like a soul charge. You can only use each effect of Marincess Triangle once per turn, and you cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effect except for water monsters. So that's actually very important to note. Then we play 1 copy of Aqua Argonaut. When it's an extra monster zone, monsters that your opponent controls cannot attack any other monsters except for Aqua Argonaut, so that's pretty important. And then you can only use each of the following effects of Argonaut once per turn. You can target one water monster you control and one card your opponent controls and return them to the hand. During your opponent's turn, when a spell / trap or effect is activated on the field, quick effect, you can special summon one of your Marincess monsters equipped to this card, and if you do, negate that activated effect. So it's basically a spell trap negation, and you get to summon one of the monsters that you have attached to it in the spell and trap zone as a link material. Then we have one copy of Bubble Reef. Bubble Reef is really good for pushing with game. I'll just kind of preface that. But once per turn during each standby phase, you can banish a water monster from your graveyard or face-up field and draw one card. Each time a monster or monsters is banished face-up, this card gains 600 attack for each card until the end of this turn. Okay, so that's important. And then you can send one water monster from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon one of your banished Marincess monsters. That's also really crazy. Yeah, so really strong card there. One copy of Splash Mage. This helps you extend in like some weaker combos, which I will go over, so don't even worry. I will be explaining pretty far in depth as to what some of the in-depth combos are and why I think this card is useful. You should definitely be playing it. And then for my, I would say honestly, this is my current favorite Link monster in the entire game, and that is World Sea Dragon Zealantis. I love this card. Basically, it requires 1+ effect monster. So if you like Triple Tactics talent, take an Appaloosa, you can just link the Appaloosa for this because it's just 1+ effect monsters. You don't have to use multiple, which is crazy. But you can only control one of it, so that's the start. And then you can only use each of the following effects of World Sea Dragon Zealantis, that was a mouthful, once per turn. During your main phase, you can banish all monsters on the field and then special summon as many monsters as possible that were banished by this effect to their owner's fields, face up or in face down defense position. That's also important to note. And then during the battle phase, quick effect, you can destroy cards on the field up to the number of co-linked monsters on the field. So that's obviously fantastic. There is a lock with this where you can just basically banish your opponent's whole board and they don't get to special summon anything back. We will get to that, but yeah, this card is crazy. It's probably my favorite Link monster in the entire game currently. Then moving on to the XYZs, I did mention before that we were playing Stealth Kraken. Basically, if you have Stealth Kraken and goes in matchup, you should probably win the game. I don't see like a world where you don't win that game. This card's crazy, especially with goes in match. It can definitely win you games in time too. Yeah, I just really love this card. And then I play Toad and Bahamut. Bahamut summons the Toad. Toad can add back waters after it hits grave. I don't really have to explain these very much. But that is the extra deck. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the side deck now. Like I said, once again, I'm not gonna cut the video. I'm just gonna run through this. 3 Curry Kara. Oh, let me just bring these over here. And 3 Droll for some additional hand traps. I think that these cards are fantastic. Curry Kara is seeing so much hype right now. This card is really strong. Yeah, if you don't have them, you should definitely try and get your hands on a playset if you're playing the game competitively. Then the Drolls are obviously great against anything that searches. So yeah, there's a lot that searches anyways in the game now. So Drolls, in my opinion, is good in almost every format. Then I play 3 Lightning Storm and 3 Evenly to kind of mitigate back row decks. And I mean, there are other decks that Evenly is good against too, so it's not just you know, like it's only for back row decks. This card's really good against Kashtira too, so yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't want to play it, especially if you know it's good against a certain matchup. But yeah, mostly for back row, but they are there for other things too. Keep that in mind. And then 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier for when I know I will be going first. I think that it's always important to play a playset of something in your side deck that you can side in when you know you're going first, because it just kind of helps you with, you know, setting up your initial board and then also having backup in case they crack your board. So yeah, and dimensional barrier is really good because you call XYZ against Kashtira and that hurts them a lot. You call Fusion against Branded and they pretty much just lose the game. You know, there's a bunch of other stuff that I could probably rattle off, but I won't bother because you guys can figure it out. It's a simple card to understand. But that is the entire deck. I guess we'll get into some combo tutorials now and kind of teach you the ways of Marincess, or the waves of Marincess. All right, so this is one of the parts of the video that a lot of people really like to watch my content for, from things that I hear in the comment section, and that is doing like combo tutorials, test hands, like all that good stuff. I always get a lot of requests for this when I post deck profiles, and I think a lot of it is because in the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh, you see someone post a deck profile and you want to learn how to play the deck, and then they expect you to buy a spreadsheet for how to do combos, which to me is just fucking ridiculous. I'm not a gigantic channel. I have over 2,000 subscribers, and I know what my niche is. I know what people like to watch on my channel. But to me, to even consider charging for a spreadsheet is ridiculous. I don't think I would ever do that, regardless of the situation. Even if I found some sort of weird crazy combo, if I found some weird crazy combo that I wanted people to like not know about, I probably wouldn't tell them how to do it, and I just do it and hopefully do very well with that combo. So yeah, I don't charge anyone ever for my content, really. You guys know that I have ads on, and if you watch the ads, like, I get ad revenue from it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've thought about like setting up the memberships at some point. Maybe I will when I get a little bit more of a following, but yeah, I'm not gonna ramble on about that anymore. That's just me being too vocal. Anyways, we're gonna start off with combos here. I'm gonna teach you guys a bunch of combos that you can do with this deck because I think it's important to know. But starting off with a very basic Marincess Blue Tang opening. You can normal your Blue Tang, and you can dump multiple things. You could dump Spring Girl, you could dump Seahorse. These are really the two that you're going to want to dump at this point. So let's dump the Spring Girl for now, and we will just go off from here. So I'm not going to, like, this is obviously being shuffled, so I'm not doing like a standard of what could or should happen. Like, this is literally just the combo, and if I hit something weird, I'll correct it. But we use the Blue Tang as a link material for Blue Slug. Then our Blue Slug will be Chain Link 1 targeting Spring Girl to add it back to our hand, and then Blue Tang will be Chain Link 2 to excavate 3 cards, and we would get to add a Marincess monster to our hand from the 3 that we excavate. I'm sorry, but we didn't hit one, so these just get shuffled back in, and the Spring Girl is now in our hand. And at this point, we can banish the Blue Tang to summon the Spring Girl. Then we can link the Spring Girl for a copy of Sea Angel. So this is a really important sequence here. So I'm going to point this out. So both of these cards are going to trigger, but you want to have Sea Angel be Chain Link 2 unless you're worried about Ash, because you need to add Battle Ocean, and you don't want to mill Battle Ocean with Spring Girl. Granted, you only play one. Anything can happen. It's the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I see weird shit happen all the time. But we're going to search for Battle Ocean now. And then after we shuffle, we will get to mill 2. Okay, so it wasn't close to the top. We would have ended up hitting Valor and Seahorse. But you still want to play it safe because you never really know. This game can be very brutal and punishing sometimes if you don't sequence stuff properly. So always try and sequence stuff in your favor. And now we get to mill 2 because we have 2 Marincess monsters. So we mill an Ash and a Valor, so our opponent doesn't take anything. That's fine. From here, we can hold on to the Battle Ocean in our hand for now. I'm not going to activate it just yet because there really isn't a reason to activate it yet. So what you can do is you can link for Splash Mage. Because if you link for Splash Mage, you're going to be able to kind of pop off a little bit. So You link these two off for Splash Mage, and then your Splash Mage is going to revive your Spring Girl. And then from here, you link these two for Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone's effect activates to revive Splash Mage. And from here, you're going to activate Battle Ocean. And then you're going to link these two for a copy of Aqua Argonaut. And then you will get Chainlink 1 Battle Ocean. And then you'll get Chainlink 2 of Anemone to add the Spring Girl back. And then you basically get to equip, and I'm just going to put them over here like this. You get to equip these 3 Marincess cards to your Aqua Argonaut, and you've got a Spring Girl back in your hand to start comboing off on the following turn. So this is going to grant you a spell negation, and you'd be able to special something like the Coral Anemone out from your spell and trap zone to negate their spell and trap. Additionally, this gains 2000 attack right now because it has 3 equipped, and the 200 from Battle Ocean on top of having 600 from each of these. So when you do special summon whatever monster you special summon from here, though, it will lose 600 attack, so that's kind of important to note. So that's a very, very basic opening with just Blue Tang. Now I'm going to show you how you can kind of do this in a similar way with other cards. All right, so let's say you open Seahorse. Seahorse is kind of similar to what happens with your Blue Tang. So you normal the Seahorse and you link it for Blue Slug. Blue Slug will then add Seahorse back. Then you can special the Seahorse to the zone it points to, and you can link it for Sea Angel. Sea Angel will search for your copy of Battle Ocean. And then you can link these two for Splash Mage. Splash Mage will revive your Seahorse. Then you can link these two for Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone can revive the Splash Mage. Then you can activate your Battle Ocean, and you can link these two for Aqua Argonaut. And then you'll get, once again, the Anemone and the Battle Ocean to trigger. So this will come to hand, and then you can put these 3 in your spell and trap zone. So you have the Seahorse for your next turn, and once again, you have the negation. The Blue Tang kind of nets you better resources, which is why the Blue Tang is a little bit better. But yeah, even if you open just Seahorse, it does do something. I'm gonna go ahead and show you like one of the lesser great combos that you can do, but it's kind of, you know, situational. All right, so let's say you open up just Spring Girl and you don't have any other cards to really go off with. You normal the Spring Girl and then you link it. And a lot of times you see me make Blue Slug so far, but in this scenario, we're going to make Sea Angel because we don't have anything to really go off with. And then the Sea Angel will go off, and unfortunately in this scenario, we have to just grab Dive. So we grab a copy of Dive to hand, and we can mill off Spring Girl at that point. I don't think there's really a reason to. I mean, if you want to, go for it, but it's not like, you know, the end of the world. You can go Dive, revive the Spring Girl, and then you can link these two. And at this point, you would make a Splash Mage. And then you can Splash Mage, revive the Spring Girl. Then you can link these two for Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone revives the Splash Mage. Like I said, the Spring Girl, there isn't like a lot of merit to using the effect engrave when it's linked, so don't get angry in the comment section and be like, oh, why didn't you use the effect? Because there's no point using it right now, that's why. Because you open subpar. But you then link these off, and no, we've been making Aqua Argonaut. In this scenario, we make Bubble Reef, and then Anemone adds back the Spring Girl. And then during our opponent's standby phase, we can Bubble Reef, banish the Splash Mage, and we get to draw a card. So, and then this will end up gaining 600. This is if like you only open up like hand traps and Spring Girl. Yeah, it's a subpar opening, but it's something that you should know. You can do the exact same thing pretty much with like other stuff. Like there are other ways that you can do like similar combos with like Pascalis. If you open up just Pascalis, it's pretty much the same exact line. This is just a very basic way of doing this. There is also like other ways that you can like get to this combo, where you can like banish stuff from your hand and kind of search a little differently. So that's kind of important to note. So like what you can do, let me actually go back here and grab the Spring Girl, just so I can show you that there are other things that you can do, because I think that's kind of important to note. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in here. So at this point in the combo, before we link these off for the bubble reef, you can summon the Spring Girl with her effect by banishing the Sea Angel, which is, you know, pretty neat. And then you can link these for something such as Marbled Rock. So now that you've made a Marbled Rock, we have more things we can do. So I'm just going to shuffle this, because now we can trigger our Spring Girl, which is pretty sweet. So Spring Girl will mill 2 cards because we have 2 Marincess monsters. We mill a Dive and a Book of Eclipse. So our opponent will take 200 from the Dive, or from the Spring Girl milling the Dive. Then we have the option to use Marbled Rock to add one of these cards back to our hand, Marincess card. It's kind of, you know, whatever you want to add here, because you're going to be able to do other things. So you can add the Spring Girl back to hand in this scenario. And then from there, you can link these off into your link 4, like a bubble reef. And then you can get the anemone effect to add back the Dive. So there's a lot of ways of doing this. Like it's very situational, kind of as to what you want to do. But I just wanted to show that there's that other way of doing it, which is good to know. Keep in mind that works with Spring Girl, does not work with Pascalis, because the Pascalis doesn't like extend like Spring Girl does. The Spring Girl has her own extension, so by default it's a better card than Pascalis. Pascalis ends you on just the initial way that I showed you how to do this, and making the bubble reef without doing the Marbled Rock to get more resources back. But once again, I think this is shuffled because I milled stuff. Once again, during opponent's standby phase, we would banish the Splash Mage to draw a card. So yeah, this combo essentially nets you +3, which is really good. So yeah, let me go ahead and jump into another combo. I'm not going to show you the Pascalis one because it's the exact same way that I showed you the first way of doing just Spring Girl as a combo, where you just end on this and a draw. So yeah, let me go ahead and show you some of the better combos. All right, so let's say you open up something like Blue Tang Spring Girl. This is a pretty good opening. So what you would do is you'd start off with normal summoning Blue Tang, and you'd get her effect to send Seahorse, and then you're going to shuffle. Go ahead and toss this over here, and then we're going to link for Blue Slug. We'll get our Blue Tang Chainlink 1, Blue Slug Chainlink 2 to add the Seahorse back to hand, and then we get to look at the top 3. Now we can grab a Dive off of this, but we're gonna assume it's just a blank card that we grab. We'll actually assume that we miss, just because I want to show you that we have like guaranteed stuff rather than like the possible things. So we missed, okay? Then we're gonna go ahead and special summon the Seahorse, link it for our Sea Angel. Sea Angel effect, we'll add to hand a copy of Battle Ocean. Okay, so now we've got Battle Ocean and Spring Girl in our hand, which is very good. From here, we can link these two for a copy of Coral Anemone. And then I like to banish the Sea Angel here to summon the Spring Girl. And then we can Coral Anemone revive the Blue Tang, which is pretty sweet. Then you can overlay these two, and you can make Bahamut, and then Bahamut effect, detach material, summon a Toad, and then from here you can link summon with your Coral and your Bahamut Shark, if you'd like to. So like the one thing that you have to keep in mind in doing this is that you're probably going to want to do Battle Ocean beforehand. This is just going to net you like a Toad negate with other stuff on board. So like you do this and you link and you make your Marbled Rock. And then you could get like Battle Ocean and Coral Anemone, and you add back the Spring Girl, and then you basically equip 2 to the Marbled Rock. Now this is not the best way of doing the combo at all. There are definitely better ways of doing this, so keep that in mind, that I'm just showing you like things that you can do, because now Marbled Rock effect can be used on our opponent's turn to kind of just like stop them from doing something. We also have the option of like doing the Toad beforehand, and then we could add another Marincess monster back, and then it just gives us more options to discard with the Marbled Rock ability. This is not the best way of doing the combo, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewind this a bit, and we'll go to the point where we had a setup that looked kind of like this. This should be in here, and so should the seahorse. So this is the point where you kind of have to determine what route you're going to take. So we still have the Battle Ocean in hand because we did the Sea Angel. Now from here you have to kind of, like I said, you have to figure out what you want to do. So if you link the Spring Girl and the Coral Anemone off, you can go into Coral Triangle if you'd like to, because we haven't used any non-Marincess cards here. So when this hits the board, the Coral Anemone will add back one of your Marincess cards. Then you can use your Coral Triangle, discard the monster that you added back to search for Wave. So now we have a Wave in hand. Then you would activate your Battle Ocean, and then you can link these two for Argonaut, and then Battle Ocean will equip 3 Marincess monsters, and you have a Marincess Wave in hand ready to go. So keep in mind, I have said before, I'm not like doing the Spring Girl effect because I just want to show like definitive lines rather than like test hands, because we'll get to test hands. We're not at that point right now. I'm teaching you how to play the deck properly. But basically you have the spell trap negate, and then you've got the monster negate, which is going to make this immune to your opponent's card effects until the end of the turn. So yeah, that's off of Spring Girl and Blue Tang. Those are, you know, pretty simple basic lines. There are obviously other things that you can do. I'm not going to show you every single little thing that you can do, because obviously it does get situational as to what you're doing if you have more extenders and whatnot. But I'm going to go ahead and show you another line that you can run. All right, so now we have Blue Tang and Pascalis. So you normal the Pascalis and you get the effect to special the Blue Tang, and then Blue Tang effect will dump Spring Girl. And then from here we link this for Blue Slug, and we would get both chains, but like I've said a million times already, I'm not doing possibilities, I'm doing definitives. So we're just adding back the Spring Girl. We would technically reveal 3. I'm not going to do that right now just because we're doing definitives here. Now at this point you can link the Pascalis off, and you can make a Seahorse, or Sea Angel, I'm sorry. Then Sea Angel effect will trigger, which will search a Battle Ocean, or if you have Battle Ocean already, you would search for Dive. That's kind of important to note. At this point, we're kind of at a similar point that we were in the last combo. There is some difference between it, but it's pretty much the same. So you link these 2 off, and you make Anemone. You can revive Blue Tang or Pascalis, it doesn't really matter. And then you can go ahead and special this by banishing Sea Angel. So that's, you know, obviously nice because you have your extender here, which is going to assist a lot in this combo. So once again, we can link here for Triangle. The Anemone can add back Blue Tang, and then we discard the Blue Tang with this to search for Wave, and then we activate the Battle Ocean, and then we can link these for the Argonaut, And then once again, we will get Battle Ocean to equip 3. And we have the wave. So it's pretty much the same exact thing as before. Like I said, you can do that other line where you get 2 equips on your marbled rock and you have the toad up, but that's obviously not nearly as good as doing something like this. I want to at least show that though, to show you can put an Omni Negate up with something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you another line that you can do that I think is also worth noting. Now this is another way to get to the combo that I just showed you. So yeah, basically what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna normal your Seahorse, link it for Slug. Slug adds this back. We special it from hand. We make Sea Angel. Sea Angel searches for Battle Ocean. Wherever it may be, it is right there. Okay. Then we can link these off and we can make Coral Anemone, and then we can special this by banishing Sea Angel, and then we can special this with the Anemone. From here, we can once again link for something like Coral Triangle, and then Anemone adds this back. We can discard it off of the triangle to search for wave. And then we can first activate Battle Ocean before I get ahead of myself. Then we can link these for Argonaut, and then Battle Ocean will equip 3, and we have the wave again. So there's a lot of ways of doing this with like 2 cards that really pop off. So that's like all that I'm going to show you guys for combos. I think that's more than enough. That's a bunch of things that you can do. I'm going to go ahead and get into test hands now so you can actually see how things run and operate. All right, so we have come to basically the last part of the video, which is test hands. I'm going to show how this works. Actually, I do want to show one thing before we start, and that is something like Zealantis. I wanted to explain how the Zealantis lock works. So let's say we've got like Coral Anemone, a monster, and then we've got another monster engraved. Okay, so Coral Anemone uses the effect to revive the Seahorse or whatever Marincess monster we're bringing back. Now we're locked into waters, and what you can do is you can link them for Zealantis, and then if you use Zealantis's banish effect, because you're locked into waters, you're the one that's special summoning your banished monsters and your opponent's banished monsters. So seeing you're locked into waters, if none of the monsters on their board that you banished are water, they don't hit the board because you, the person playing Marincess, is special summoning both players' monsters. So you actually just banish their entire monster board, which is crazy. I just wanted to point that out beforehand because I know some people get confused and they ask about it, and then I have to go into, you know, some long explanation in the comments. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to throw these back in here and shuffle this up so we can do our first test hand, and I can show you how well this deck operates and, you know, how efficient it definitely can be. Very, very cool stuff. So let's start off with 5. We opened up nothing unless we're going a second. This is the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen. So our opponent is probably not going to be able to play, and now we have to assume that we went through 4 hand traps. And then we draw for turn, and we see a Marincess monster. Yay, we can play the game. So going second, this hand is pretty darn good. We can normal the Seahorse, link it for the Slug, add this back, special it, link it for Sea Angel, and then, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we search for our spell, which is going to be our Battle Ocean. Or you can grab Dive, either one. From here, we link for Splash Mage, and then we revive the Seahorse. Like I said, we probably just hand trapped our opponent to death. These 2 become Anemone, and then we Battle Ocean. We Anemone revive the Splash Mage, and then we get to make something like, seeing we'd go second here, we can make Bubble Reef, and we can equip a bunch of stuff. So we just equip these 3. Bubble Reef goes up to 46, and then you can swing over a monster if they have one. Like I said, we hand trapped them to death, so yeah. And if they had a monster effect to activate, we could always talents and we could draw 2, or we could steal cards, whatever the case is. So yeah, that's kind of important to know. So there are definitely things that can be done there. Going second, going first, it would have been really, really bad, but going second, it did function, which is, you know, good. That's the thing about some of these decks that are really hand trap heavy, is that sometimes it's actually not bad to go second. Like you may have better success going second sometimes than you do going first. So that's test hand number 1. I'm not going to do any like cuts or anything. I'm just going to run through all this because it's easier for me with editing, and it gives you kind of a more authentic feel, like you get to see everything in live time, and you don't have to worry about me doing like a video cut, which can be a bit of a pain. So yeah, I think I'll do a few more test hands and at least show you how things function. Drawing 5 once again. We have another hand where going second would be significantly better. So we do that, and then we draw for turn. We do see a Marincess monster. If they have anything, we eclipse it. From here, we have an interesting situation. So we're going to normal Pascalis, get the effect. If they negate it, that's fine. We can summon the Sleepy Maiden on its own, but we'll assume the Pascalis goes through and we make this. We can then link here. Now, it's not worth adding summoning the Blue Slug. It's actually better to summon the Sea Angel. So Sea Angel will trigger, and we can search for a copy of Dive or Battle Ocean, whichever one. Battle Ocean is probably better. So we grab the Battle Ocean, and then we can link these off for a copy of Coral Anemone. And then Coral Anemone effect can special summon the Pascalis back. And then we can go ahead and link the Pascalis for a Blue Slug. Blue Slug can add back Sleepy Maiden. And then at this point, you can special summon the Sleepy Maiden if you'd like to, targeting whatever pretty much. And then you kind of get to decide where you want to go from here. Like I said, we're going second, so there's a lot that can be done. So we can Zealantis, banish their board if we need to. We can just go into a Argonaut or a Bubble Reef, whatever you're kind of feeling. Is obviously, you know, kind of at your discretion, but you can link these off, and you can make a Marbled Rock. And then your Marbled Rock, if you want to add back Pascalis, you can. So now you have that in hand. You can activate the Battle Ocean. Then you link these, and let's say that you go for the Bubble Reef. You would then get your Battle Ocean to equip some of your Marincess cards here. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this up here so you all can see on the card. You can send a water monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon one of your banished Marincess monsters. So that's something that can come up here, because we're going to banish the Sleepy Maiden to equip the Sea Angel to the Bubble Reef, which will cause the Bubble Reef to gain 600 on top of getting another 600 from this. So it's going to gain, right now, you're going to gain 24 from the Battle Ocean plus another 200. So that's 26. And then the effect from banishing is going to be 32 that it's going to gain. So that's some pretty big stats. And if you wanted to special this off of this, you could, I guess. I don't see why you'd have to. But yeah, and then you also do have the wave in hand. So once again, not a great hand going first, but going second, it does do stuff, which a lot of times it's almost like with this deck, I feel like I like going second more just because I can do all the hand trap stuff, and then my odds of top decking a Marincess are pretty high. So I kind of enjoy that kind of play style, and I've always gotten a lot of joy out of trying to break boards. So hopefully we can draw some hands that for going first actually display some great stuff, so you can see just what the deck does going first, rather than me showing you how we're going to try and break our opponent's board going second. Ooh, don't want to mess that up. But yeah, it's a very, very fun deck that has simple lines that you can learn, and it's pretty affordable with all the reprints that it's gotten. So let's see, we have a Spring Girl and we have a Seahorse, so this isn't bad. We can normal summon the Seahorse and link it for Blue Slug. Blue Slug can add it back. We can special it and then link it for Sea Angel. Sea Angel will search for a copy of Battle Ocean because we need the Battle Ocean. We didn't draw a dive, so we have to search for Battle Ocean. At this point, if you'd like to link summon, you can link summon. It's kind of whatever you'd like to do. So we link summon for the Coral Anemone, and then from here we can revive the Seahorse, and then we can special summon the Spring Girl by banishing. And at this point, you can start to link summon a little more so to kind of get, you know, more resources accumulated onto your board. So you have the option of going into something like Splash Mage with these two if you'd like to. I don't see a whole lot of merit in doing so. Granted, you know, it can help you extend a little bit in some cases, but we're gonna go and link these two off and make a Marbled Rock, and then we can get both of these effects. So we get to add the Spring Girl back, and then we get to I'm sorry, I made Marbled Rock. I was supposed to make Coral Triangle. I apologize, everyone. That was very stupid on my part. And then we get to excavate or mill 2. Oops, that's 3. We mill 2 Book of Eclipses, and we don't burn our opponent. And then at this point, we can activate the Battle Ocean. We can use the Coral Triangle, discarding this, and we would search for the Wave, which I almost milled as my 3rd card, which we only mill 2. And then from here, we can link these two for a copy of Argonaut. And then we get to equip 3 Marincess cards. We can set Gozen, and we can pass, and then we can activate the Gozen, and we have Marincess Wave, which is probably going to seal a lot of games for you. So that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and do one more test hand just to show you how this operates and functions, and hopefully it's another good one. That was a decent test hand to show off. Like I said, there's a lot of things that we can do. I'm getting like very basic hands, but there's a lot of extension that definitely goes on in this deck that gets you like into some insane lines. So let me just shuffle this a little bit more, and we'll draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we drew a dive, which is kind of neat. So I'm gonna go mining, and I'm gonna send the Book of Eclipse, and we'll search for a Blue Tang. All right, so Blue Tang is in hand. We normal it, and we get the effect to dump Spring Girl. And from here, we can link this. I'm gonna shuffle this a little bit better for Blue Slug, and then we would get 1, 2. We can add this back to hand, and then we can excavate 3 here. Sure, we'll add the other dive, I guess, even though we've already got a dive. And then from here, we banish the Blue Tang to summon the Spring Girl. Then we link this for the Sea Angel. We do Spring Girl 1, Sea Angel 2, and we grab Battle Ocean. And then we get to mill 2. All right, 1 and 2. Nothing of importance there. From here, we can do a lot of different things, actually. So we have the option of linking here into Coral Anemone, and then we can always go Battle Ocean and dive, and then we can bring something out from deck, which isn't terrible. Or we have another option. Our other option is that we Coral Anemone Revive the Spring Girl. We link these two for Marbled Rock. We will then get to add this back to hand. And from here, we can go for Battle Ocean, and then we go dive. And because we have Battle Ocean, we can special from deck. We get to summon out Pascalis. And then Pascalis effect will special the Spring Girl. And then we can overlay these for Bahamut. And then we use Bahamut effect, detaching, to summon a Toad. And then from here, we can link these off. We can make an Argonaut. And then Battle Ocean will equip the Marbled Rock, the Coral Anemone, and the Blue Slug. And then we can pass from there, pretty much. And there actually, you could have added back a dive or a Spring Girl or a Pascalis beforehand, because you had the Marbled Rock on board, depending on what you detach. So let's assume that we detached the Spring Girl and added back the Spring Girl. I missed that sequencing. But yeah, so essentially you're going to get to really pop off here, because if you summon this and they try and attack, you can just use the effect, discard, and then you'll stop the destruction of battle. And then you can always Toad negate something, add back your Spring Girl again. You've got Veilers and Veiler and Ash. Like, that's, yeah. So yeah, this deck is really fun. It's a blast to play. I enjoyed a lot. Hopefully everybody learned something and this was a helpful video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome content like the video you just watched. And this was the first installment of YuGiOh Master Class. I hope you enjoyed.